Yes, sir, we're ready. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Excellent.
Awesome. Okay, sorry all for the technical breakdown. I just decided to override PowerPoint for now and work with backups. Someone just go ahead and put in the text box backup. That's very important for us to actually have sometimes. Many of us have heard people say, sometimes it's nice to get into everything full out, never have a backup plan. So I would say that's actually one of the things I can agree are subjective and not really objective things, because certain situations it's wisdom to have a backup. It's wisdom. The Bible says that we ought to be prudent, and the meaning of prudence is someone who is thoughtful of the future. All right, someone who has got expectations. So they make plans beyond one day. So I'm hoping today, by the grace of God, the act of prudence will help in the sense that we still will be able to have this session. So great, let's get into tonight's session. We'll try my best so that we can still finish when we're supposed to finish. Moving your business from startup level to mega level or maturity level. So some of you are not yet in business, some of you are not doing business, and you're wondering whether this is going to be important to you. I can guarantee you that the lessons and the principles that will be shared here will help you in any area of your life. Because at the end of the day, the underlying principles I'll be sharing are principles of management. All right. And if there's something we've established last week and the week before last, was that we've been put on the earth to manage it by God. God owns silver and gold. We are simply managers, and that our role is to manage what He has. And we manage it within the privilege of being children of the Most High God. So it means that He owns it. By Christ, yes, we are co-heirs, but we manage what our Father owns. All right. And what happens is that if you decide to be a prodigal son, like the Bible says in Luke 15, when you try to manage what God owns outside God, you lose it. That's why we talked about materialism. So the prodigal son tried to manage the father's wealth outside the father. The father was still alive, so he tried to take the wealth, ended up losing everything he had. The moment he came back into restoration as well, he was well taken care of, and God restored him to his place. So it's very important for us to remember our role as believers, and I'm going to share elements to do with business. I hope you will follow through as we get in. So if you're ready to start, I love seeing engagement in the chat. Go ahead and type in yes, and I will be able to make some progress. So let me see some yeses in the chat boxes. Yes, ready. Let's see if you are tuned in. Thank you, Pastor Mike. Thank you, Temba. Thank you, Musa. Yes, yes, yes. Ready from Jemima. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get those yeses and readies going. Awesome. So with that, I can get started. So by the end of tonight, my objective is that all of us who are participating here will be able to adopt the financial freedom mindset and gain wisdom to build a fully independent business. How does that sound? Right? All participants to adopt the financial freedom mindset. So right now, your mind is about to have a shift. When we started this session, we said my life's financial management repositioning. And I'm going to try to demystify particular naysays that have been made concerning finance when we start this. And my hope is that all of us here are going to have that adoption of a financial freedom mindset and gain the wisdom to fully, be independent. Statistics show that only less than 90% of people actually gain financial freedom. Less than 90% of people all around the world gain financial freedom. It means the majority of us find ourselves not being financially free. And it's my prayer in this meeting tonight that even as we go through these lessons, you will adopt a mindset of financial freedom. That being said, allow me to move forward. So why should you learn about financial freedom? That's the question of the day. And I want to be able to answer that as we go. Here are two reasons. The first one, a lot of what we know about money is wrong. I think those of you who've been following from when we started, I really broke down money, the nature of money. It was very important that we do that so that certain things were demystified and you get a clarity on its threefold nature. But the sad thing is that unlike you who has found out this know-how about money, sadly many people out there have a wrong perception about money. They don't know money as it is. And the second reason is that there is no need to reinvent a working formula. One of the wisdoms that people will give you in life is this very one. There are certain things that we do not need to reinvent. If someone has built the bridge to get you on the other side, you don't have to build a bridge again. You need to understand that in life, wisdom may dictate that you learn from others what they have found out and you apply it. Otherwise, you're going to get into what is known as theoretic action. Sorry to get a bit technical, but if you do studies in strategic management, you're going to come across a word called theoretic action. This is where you believe something is the right way of doing something just because you convince yourself. And you go out there feeling confident about your way of doing things, yet you may be doing things wrong. So the wisdom is that at times there already exist formulas that work, and all you need to do is go to the people who succeeded and say, how can I make it like you have made it? Okay, how can I make it like you have made it? What are the secrets? What are the strategies that you've utilized so I can be able to draw the wisdom from it and apply it? And the wisdom you need to draw is the underlying principle. What I mean by that is that your implementation may not be exactly like the other person, lest you become a copycat and you're not being original, but the principles remain true in any situation, whether applied with some fancy addition here, some fluff here, pizzazz here, the principles remain the same. It's the call of a strategic way of doing things. So I hope that's clear. There is no need to reinvent a working formula. So how many of us here want to run a successful business? Go ahead and type in the chat box, me. Let's see. How many of us want to run a successful business? You have any interest in business, in investment? Go ahead and place in the chat box, me, I want to see that. Thank you. I'm seeing me's coming and flooding in. Thank you so much from everyone. You see Chile, Tole, Michael, everyone, thank you so much. I need to from Salim Fianji. Thank you so much for that. Definitely. Let's make some progress. Thank you for that feedback. So now you need to understand that you need to build your personal wealth plan. All right. So even as we're getting excited, which I love that, one of the things I tell a lot of entrepreneurs when I meet with them, because I'm happy to coach a number of people. By the grace of God, I've been able to train over 1,000 entrepreneurs to this state, and I'm seeing God take it further beyond at some point. But one of the things I love to communicate is that aside from having a business plan, have a personal wealth plan. All right? Have a personal wealth plan. And this is very, very key. Many people forget to have a personal wealth plan. They will start their shoe business. They will start their salon. They will start their trading business, their electronic business. And they will be building the business and forgetting there's need for a personal wealth plan. All right. So it's very important. If there's something that you're going to get here is you must have a personal wealth plan. Remember, I talked about how money is spirit, you acquire it, how this currency, and that's how you sustain it, you manage it. All right. And then how, if you go to materialism, you stop the flow. Well, building your personal wealth plan is important, and this is why. And I had a lovely conversation with Pastor Michael, a very great friend of mine, and we have this great conversation. And there's a way he said something that really describes what I'm about to bring out for you. There is a container, and there's the water in the container. All right. If the container is dirty, you might not want to drink the water inside. Likewise, if the water is dirty and the container is clean, you won't want to drink the water inside. So both are important. So as you have a heart of service and you're being a blessing to people around you, God wants you to have the representation of glory or the image of glory around you. It means that as you bless others, your life gets blessed. It means that as you are reaching out to people, you will get to drive cars because that's how God will elevate you to attract more that you can bless. So the heart should be to serve, then all these things shall be added unto you. I hope I'm clear. I hope it's making sense. If I'm making sense, please keep on placing in the chat. I'll be seeing that. I'm keeping a close eye on the chat. So you need to learn to build your personal wealth plan. That's how you'll be able to attract certain opportunities that God may have in store for you. Especially those of you getting into the service business, a personal wealth plan is something you must have as well. So with that said, it is not enough to plan for your business financial plan. You must have your personal financial plan. Great. Thank you for those saying following. Let's keep progressing. So these are the 5 wealth mindset shifts. The first being you need to have, sorry, let me just say this. There is security focus versus freedom focus. All right? Security focus versus freedom focus. So now what this means is that most of the times when we are growing up, we are told to have this security mindset. This mindset of trying to gather money to one place. All right? This mindset of trying to be fixed to a salary that must come one day of the month. Now, there are 365 days in a year. Why choose to get paid on 12 days only? I'll say that again. There are 365 days in a year. Why will you choose to get paid on 12 days only? If you do the math, that is terrible percentage. All right? Terrible percentage. 365 days, and that's not counting leap years, which you have an extra year. Why choose to get paid on only 12 days in a year? It's great to see that this is provoking some thought. I am not against working, all right? There are people that are called to rise through the academic and the career path, which is very good because then that's a platform that God uses to attract other assets to their life. But the question is this: why aren't you investing? All right? Why aren't you spreading your wings? I shared about 12 asset investments. All right? And assets are things that put money in your pocket. So why fix yourself to a job that will pay you 12 days only and not begin to find out how you can get paid every day? The most richest people in the world today have understood what I call becoming a timepreneur. Every single moment passing, within 1 minute, Bill Gates gets richer. All right? I choose to get richer every single day. That's why I've got some mobile games on Google Play Store. Anytime someone is playing my games, there is an ad they get to watch, and it will create certain finances added. So the question for you is, will you become a timepreneur? Will you choose to get paid on more days than one, all right? On more days than 12 days in a year, when there are 365. So begin to have that thought in your mind. So don't be security focused as much as you become freedom focused. Freedom focus is where you decide to break away from this status quo, these systems that mankind has built to make you think that's the only way you can make a living. I wish I could dwell more on this because it's a really interesting story. There's a man who told his son to go sell a car. I'm gonna call it a Chevy 184. All right, just give it a name. And he told him to go down to the garage to ask how much they were willing to buy it. So he was told it would be they could buy it for about $100. He went back to the father and said, "Dad, they told me they can buy it for $100." The father said, "Okay, good. You go down to the showroom in town and ask how much they're willing to buy." He took it there and they told him it's a very old model. We sell very brand new cars. The most we can offer you is just the $200 for this car. He's like, okay, thank you. He went back to his father and said, Dad, they're willing to pay me $200 for this. The father said, okay, thank you. He told him to go to the antique store. The antique store, they looked at the car and they loved it. They're like, wow, very few of these exist. We are willing to pay you up to $15,000 for this car. He went back to the father and says, Father, you won't believe it. They were willing to pay me $15,000. And the father stopped for a moment, paused, and he said, son, I want to teach you a lesson that it matters where you take what you carry because it will be valued differently. It matters where you take what you carry, it will be valued differently. And what I'm trying to communicate is that some of you have graduated from university, you have a degree, and you have got skills in accounting, and you're job hunting, and they keep abusing you, and they're offering you maybe 4,000 kwacha. But do you know how many SMEs are struggling with a proper accountant today? And if you took time to just look at their books for 2 days in a week, they'll be able to pay you quite a substantial amount of money. And imagine if you had 10 of those SMEs, within a month you'll get paid way more than someone who's going to get paid 4,000. I'm a consultant by profession, and also how I operate at Make Life, what we do. We get monies. If we make a deal, we can get one payout that could pay out someone's salary the entire year, but it can come once. That's the kind of deals you negotiate. So the question is, you need to take your value where it will be valued the most. I'm hoping someone gets that. I didn't plan to go deep on this, but I just felt the need to share. And Pastor Michael says, Mapalo, on this platform, just share as the Lord tells you to share. So I hope I'm fine to do that. So number 2, saving versus investing. All right. So I'm not opposed to saving, but I'm opposed to saving without investing. All right. The goal of saving is for a rainy day. The Bible, you see Joseph, they saved for 7 years for a 7-year famine. That's why saving was instituted. It's for a rainy day, but that shouldn't be where your money ends up. Why? Because money is continuously becoming inflated. It's reducing as it stays in the bank. So you need to demystify that mindset and realize that you must invest more than you place in savings initially. A time will come where your investments will be paying you so much all at once, it will be so easy for you to have savings increasing, would say organically, but I would say naturally. So you need to understand that if today the money you receive, if you've got very little added towards savings, towards investing, then you need to change that mindset. You need to begin to invest in assets that will cause a return. Those of you who missed the last session, I hope you get the recording so that you get to hear the 12 assets investments. Let me move on. Thank you for those in the chat box. I'm seeing your chats. Appreciate that. Tika is struggling to join in. I hope someone can attend to her. Awesome. Let me move in. Getting a job versus creating jobs. All right. So like I said, I'm not opposed to getting a job, but I'm opposed to it if it's the only thing you're going to do to raise finances. All right. You could become a cause for job creation by investing your earnings and beginning to earn back in form of profits, and other people can do the work. There's a program that we are yet to launch next year at Make Life that bridges the gap, right? And you need to understand that sometimes, even as you're building your career path, you can find a way to be a source of job creation. Remember, money comes to people who have a heart of service. As you provide more opportunities for others, more comes your way. The fourth mindset that I want to demystify is value for time versus value for transformation. Value for time versus value for transformation. The reason why I've said that you could go and give value to an SME for only 2 days in a month and make so much impact in their life, as opposed to you staying in an 8 to 5 job throughout the month and only making 4 grand. You need to understand that out there, the true exchange is value. As long as you're delivering on value, you don't have to spend unnecessary time. If you want to get paid based on the time that you give, guess what? You've just placed yourself a ceiling on how much you can earn, because there are only 365 days. There are only 12 months each year. So it means you are setting a cap to how much you can earn each year. But if you place value on transformation you bring to people, people will pay you way more. It means as long as you are growing, your capacity to earn grows with you. I hope that's clear. If I'm clear, please just go ahead and say things are clear. It means that as you grow yourself, your ability to transform people grows. And it means you've not set a cap on how much you could potentially earn from the value that you bring. But if you are placing value for time, you have set a limitation as to how much you could potentially earn each year. All right, I'll pause there to get feedback. Are things clear, or I'm being too fast? So that I can know that even though I'm trying to manage time, I could slow down. And we might be logged out at some point. So if that happens, just log back in so we can finish at 21. Right, Jemima says clear. Thank you so much, Jemima, for your feedback. Musa says clear. Thank you. Karajin, I could move on. Awesome. Others are not responding. Are we together? Thanks, Temba. Thanks, Pastor Michael. I hope things are clear for the rest as well. It would be nice to hear from Grace, from Chile, Salifanji. Kindly repeat on the fourth point. Thank you for that. Clear. Thanks from Chile. Thanks from Salifanji. Awesome. All right. So value for time versus value for transformation. What you need to learn here is that time is limited. All right. Time is limited. You've got 365 days in a year, 12 months. The 12 months in a year, they're about 30 to 31 days each year. So it means that if people pay you for the time you give, for example, I work from 8 to 5. When I was at Vodafone in 2016, back then when I was just a brand ambassador, I used to get very little. For 5 hours a day, I could get 50 kwacha. It means that my time was valued at 10 kwacha per hour, right? By the grace of God, I worked a lot. I had 3 jobs at Vodafone, so I had to work in 3 offices the same day. The value per hour increased. But the problem is that I was getting paid per hour. I wasn't getting paid based on the value I was providing. When I retired and started Make Live in 2018, when it was ML Consulting, the first client I got, paid me 35,000 kwacha for a deal. And in that particular deal, I was only supposed to come to the office once a week for 1 month. So my value per hour increased significantly to over 7,000 kwacha, right? But that was based, if you put it in time value. But the reason there was a shift was because for them, I negotiated value for transformation. So I had the control over my working hours. I had the control of how much time I gave. So I exchanged transformation as it. And whenever you go with value for transformation, you will always outbid someone who decides to stick to value for time. Because if you try to set value for time, you limit and cap your potential. I hope that's more clear now. On the fourth point. Okay, I'll check it's clear so that I can move on. Thank you for that feedback. Right, so the last demystification I want to bring in is wanting money versus the reason for money. Wanting money versus the reason for money. I communicated this in volume when we started, that the reasons for money are what we know as goals. And the goals that include people, that include helping your community, the people around you, is what draws money. So don't want money for selfish reasons, for materialistic reasons. Always have reasons for why you want money. All right? Be a blessing to the people around you, and money will come your way. So this was the base for me to introduce what we're actually here for tonight. I I hope to have covered more ground by now, but I think we have technical challenges. But here is pretty much the 5 stages for moving from startup to maturity. I'll try to be fast. So the first stage is that your business is an idea, all right? Before any business can exist, it is first an idea. And you really need to understand your idea. I hope I'm clear. Sorry, I'm seeing a notification that my network is a bit unstable. Just kindly confirm if I'm audible enough in the chat. I want to confirm, Pastor Michael, anyone, can you guys still hear me? Audible. Thank you so much for that feedback, Pastor. Great. So your business as an idea. You need to start by understanding your idea. The ideas are the intangibles. This is something that you may receive from God as an inspiration. All of a sudden you have an idea to be able to create an application that serves breakfast meals to people in campus. All they need to do is just place their order for breakfast and it gets delivered. Just an idea, right? Now you need to understand that in stage 1, your focus is planning your business and your resource is passion, all right? Your focus is planning your business, your resource is passion. A resource is something that you use to accomplish your focus. So for you to plan your business, to build a business plan, you need to be passionate about your idea. You have to be passionate that it will change the world. So I'm going to ask you, if you're writing, just write a question you should ask yourself today. How passionate am I about this idea? If you're not passionate about any business you're looking to get into, I would advise that you stay away from such a business. In my few years of experience and the people I've worked with, I have seen passionate entrepreneurs go further. So your focus should be to plan for your business, to strategize, all right? You need a plan. So when you have an idea, the next question you ask yourself is, how do I build a plan to accomplish this idea? That's where management comes in. Like I said, these are management principles I'm teaching. So whether you're in ministry, you are doing anything related to planning, you normally always start with an idea. And the next thing you must think of is a plan. All right. And what you have is passion. Let me move forward because of time. So planning involves mostly research. It could be data-driven, data science-based. And one of the things you realize is that today, when you're planning, why I've placed the word data-driven, you want to make sure that you carry out your research. You see what other people are doing in that business. So if you're looking to become a social entrepreneur, read about social entrepreneurship. Find out who's doing what around you. Begin to research them. Today, when you pitch before investors, one of the things they're going to ask is, what research have you done? I've had the privilege of sitting on 2 judging panels for entrepreneurial competitions. And one of the things sometimes I ask the contestants is, how much have you studied your area? How much do you know your business? So you need to understand that if you're going to get into business, ministry, leadership, do your research as you build your plan. All right? Let me make some progress. The stage 2 is your business as a minimum viable product, what we call an MVP. All right? So when you've got an idea, the thing you need to do next is get your business to an MVP, something that is viable. So you don't have to wait for perfection. You can do what you can do with where you are. And then from there, you push it. There's one person who asked me, he was trying to get into a guitar business, a repair business, and to start building guitars. So I told him, okay, what you do is just build your first guitar. After you build your first guitar, go and start pitching it to potential investors. The reason is that when your business is just an idea, many people will be impressed by it, but they will not believe in it so much as to jump on board. Very few jump on board. But when you've got a minimum viable product, something tangible people can see, they will go further with you. So your focus should be getting your first client. So when you've got something that you can produce and you can show that someone has a demand for what I'm able to supply, then you are better off in stage 2 because more people can be drawn to what you're up to. So if you're into business, have you sold to anyone yet? If you're doing muffins, have you at least baked your first muffins and sold them to a client? So you must get your first client. If you're in the service business, I advise you, whether you're an accountant, you're an engineer, you're a doctor, you are someone who's done public administration, demography, and you want to offer your services, just get your first client. And can I tell you a secret? Sometimes your first client doesn't have to be a paying client. Just get your first client, serve them, make sure you produce results. Then the next client will pay you. It was very interesting that I had the first client that actually was willing to pay. But the truth of the matter is that sometimes, and what we also do for new clientele, is we can offer them something for free. So if you don't have a job, you're seated home, this is a challenge I sense for you, okay? Some of you need to be told, I sense it. Well, I sense that with your career, go and advertise yourself to somebody. Offer them a service. Carry out that service well. And once you've done it, go and market yourself to someone else and ask them to pay you for it. I hope that helps someone. And the resource that you have is adaptability, all right? Curiosity and teachability. As you're in stage 2, you realize that when you're trying to get your first client, they're going to give you feedback. So they'll tell you, no, why don't you bake the muffins with some cream instead of just plain muffins? Why don't you put the guitar to have some new type of strings? So people will give feedback. And as a stage 2 business, you have the opportunity to become adaptable, to be able to learn as you go, all right? To begin to see what works and what doesn't work. That's why don't be afraid to start. You just need to start. It's better you make a few mistakes early on than you have to wait too long. Just don't make grave mistakes. That's why counsel is important, mentorship is important. But be adaptable, be teachable as you're starting a business. Be curious enough to ask the right questions. Like I said, if you don't ask questions, people will determine how much you know. Let me move on. Product market fit, right? This is something that you're going to find happening to you as you are becoming adaptable. Your product will get into the market, people will question it. They'll question whether it's the right solution for the problem you're trying to solve. They'll question your pricing. Some people tell you your price too high. Some people say you could make more money. So as you're becoming adaptable, these are things you'll be learning. Product user fit. Maybe you might initially have targeted the youth. Then you realize the ones who are using it are the baby bloomers. People be above 40 years, 45 and going up. And you realize the ones who are attracted to your application. So you start learning as you go on. You notice I could have been sharing stories, but because of time, I'm not able to share as many stories. I'm not sure I'll be here next time. Might be my last day. Stage 3, your business as a dependent entity. As a dependent entity. If you have any questions, please keep them for the last. So one thing you're going to realize is that you want to get your business to become independent as a stage 3 business person. In stage 1 and stage 2, the business depends on you 100%. If you're not there, the business, nothing will work. So now your stage 3 business, you must have a mindset to say, you know what? I must start building my business to become independent. But at stage 3, your business is still dependent. So now I need you to understand stage 3. So when I talk about stage 4, you understand it better. So stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, your business still needs you 100%. If you go on a holiday, your business has gone on a holiday. How many of you have ever gone to a shop where you go and it's 10 hours and that day the owner of the business hasn't come? And then you start getting discouraged to go to that shop because they're unreliable. How many of us have had such an experience? You go to the canteen near you, They open, sometimes they open at 14, sometimes at 17. How many of you have had such shops? Maybe I'm the only one. Anybody who's had such an experience? Or maybe you're the owner of the cantimba. Okay, someone says, I have. Thanks, Teba. She's laughing. Thanks, Pastor Michael. It's great to know we've experienced that. Even Musa has experienced it. And you see what that does to you. You get discouraged. You're like, that place, I can go there and walk or drive there and find it's still locked, eh? So now you notice that person is still at stage 3. The business depends on them. So now normally at stage 3, your focus is establishing the business foundation. That's what you should be focusing on. Stage 1, you are focusing on the plan. Stage 2, you are focusing at least on getting your first client. Stage 3, for you to start preparing for stage 4, you need to understand that your focus must be to build the business foundation. The Bible tells us that the man who built his house on the rock, the wind came, it blew, and the business didn't fall. Right? The house didn't fall, the business didn't fall. If the business is dependent on you, rain will come, it will fall. All right? God forbid something bad happens to the person, there is a CEO and the business shuts down. And the resource you have here as the founder is you. So when you're starting as a service person, it will start by depending on you, your account skills, your engineering skills. As you offer them to those particular SMEs, it will depend on you. That's a stage 3 business. You got your first client and it depends on you. You are the resource. So it's okay to be at stage 3. You don't have to skip stages. You're starting to build a brand for your business. But that should not be the goal. The goal should be for your business to become independent from you eventually. When we started off, I sold my CV experiences as a service reason. Occasionally, there are certain business deals that I enter in which are new fields, and I still have to leverage me as a person into it. But now, with where Make Life is at this point, it's beyond stage 3 now. It doesn't depend on me alone. We've got a board of directors, we've got management people. I can delegate tasks. The business can work without me being present. So that's what I'll be sharing in the next stage. So let me just move on because of time. The stage 4 business is your business as a partially independent entity. So you see, we're making progress. It's dependent on you. Now it's partially dependent on you. So I think you know where we are going for stage 5. So now, for me being dependent on you, this is one of the most important stages I'm going to talk to you about. If you're going to log out, don't log out before this. Your focus is building a business that is independent from the owner. That's your focus in this stage. But this is how you do it. You need to build systems, you need to build teams, and you need to build technology, or you need to outsource. Where there's technology, you could substitute that for tools, all right? So I'll put it this way: systems, tools, teams, and outsourcing, all right? Systems, teams, tools, and outsourcing. When you get to stage 4, you need to find a way of building systems, building teams, building the tools you'll be using as a business, and building networks so that you can outsource. This is how you stop your business from being dependent on you. In business, they're going to call systems standard operating procedures. They fall within systems. So for example, what happens when a client calls us? What's the next step? So these are instructions that every person in your company can follow. If you are employing someone new, you just teach them the systems of the business and they will have the same product as you've always been producing. The reason why Hungry Lion at East Park, Hungry Lion at Kalima Tower test the same is because they built systems for preparing Hungry Lion. It won't taste different. That is why there's the first people outside Hungry Lion, they are not at Kalima Tower, but the business is working. I hope I'm speaking to somebody. Why? They have built systems. So one of the things you should do when you've been doing it, you build a brand and you need to win it off you, think of building systems. Build systems for sales, for marketing, for operations, for production. Build systems. Whether it's in ministry, build systems so that people can duplicate what you're doing. So do that. What I do is that when I draft a new program, I build a system of how to teach it. Everyone at Make Life that I've trained on how to become a facilitator, I have trained them on how to deliver Make Life courses. They know what visual aids to use. They know how to do what we call, what's the word of this? Icebreakers. We show them stuff. And I teach the same system all across. Even if I ask a Make Life person to come teach you today, you won't see difference from how I'm teaching and how they will teach you. Because I've been training them to understand systems that Make Life operates by. And teams are very important. If there's an order to this, actually, it's teams, systems, tools. Very, very key. Now, teams are important. The team that you build must be what I call a winning team. First and foremost, people that buy into your vision. I teach an entire training on teams. People that buy into your vision, all right? People that have got competency. So the people that are in your team must be people that can accommodate what you carry. Okay, so let's throw a hand in the, okay, great. Because of time, let me move on. I love to be a good custodian of time, and my watch tells me we're a minute to 21. Thank you. Teams are very important. Then tools. Tools make systems easier. All right. Some of you who are in business, I would even advise a tool called Asana. It's a project management tool. You can delegate tasks to people in your team remotely, and it's more like a checklist that people will look at. So you see, systems are checklists, but tools can be a way to be able to accommodate those systems in a digital platform. Sometimes tools could be accounting software that makes things easier. When I teach productivity, this is how I teach it. When the same level of input produces more output, then you've increased your productivity. All right? When the same level of input produces a bigger output, then you have become more productive. That's how productivity is measured. When, for example, you reduce the input and produce the same level of output, you become more productive. So when I'm doing what we call productivity management in companies, sometimes what we may do is find out they can use lesser resources to produce the same results, or find out how they can use the same resources to produce more results. And that's how we increase productivity. And one of the easiest ways to increase productivity is to bring in technology, to bring in tools. If you've done economics, you're going to see the production possibility frontier always shifts when you bring in technology. When I was speaking at a tech meeting held by Techstars, I talked a lot about the impact of technology on today, tomorrow, and I spoke a lot about how it's a big enhancer of productivity and whatnot. But if you're going to win your company, build systems, build teams, build tools that can help you, and have a network of people you can outsource from. If my team is overloaded with work, I have people in my network I can ask to do the work for us, and we'll pay them, we'll get our cut. The thing is that we always own the sale at the end of the day. So that going, let me go to the last stage. At least I fulfilled my promise. So I'm going to shift this. I've already spoken on this. Stage 5, your business as a fully independent entity. At this point, you can go for vacation for 3 months and your business won't die. At this point, you're just thinking, what's the next big thing? Someone asked a very important question last week to say, if I've got so much ability in me, how do I know when I can focus on other things? Well, at this point, when you have built systems, teams, and tools, and you can outsource, then you can actually begin to build another business very easily. Why? Because the business doesn't need you 100%. This is when you move from working in the business to working on the business. Your role is simply to direct, to be a visionary, to be able to think of the destiny for the business. But you've built structures that hold and sustain. And your resource here is the space that you have, the freedom to think, and the exposure. You can travel the world, learn from Rwanda, learn from Dubai. You're going to learn from all those people. Why? Because your business has reached a place of independence. I see Salifianji saying visionary. Yes, definitely. become a visionary at that level. Start working on your business, not only in your business. Right, so that's been the session for today. Thank you. I'm going to ask if there are any questions. I'll unmute Pastor Michael to guide this so that he can advise on whether we can do that. And yeah, Pastor Michael, over to you. Sorry if you felt I rushed the meeting.
You did. You rushed the meeting, but it's still clear. I know we had some technical difficulties, but nevertheless, is there anyone with a question for Mapalo that you'd want to ask now? You can just type it in the chat section or send him a direct message or unmute your microphone, whichever works best for you.
Thank you, Pastor Michael. So those of you that can't unmute, you can just raise your hand and I
kindly ask your question, then we close.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if that's a question. Okay, Brian says very clear. Salifandi says very clear. Brian says, wow, thank you so much. Wow, people say it was clear. Perhaps fashion is not a bad thing. just for fun. All right, I'm waiting for any question at this point. Any question?